Good evening, friends, and welcome to the Monday night nonfiction survival book club. My name is Lee. I'm the Cold War prepper. It sure is great to have you here this evening. We're going to continue on with chapters 46 through 60 of James Jones's fantastic, phenomenal book, 150 Survival Secrets. But before we do that, congratulations to Trisha Butler. I've just moved her up to a status of moderator. So let me get down here to the end of chat. I'm up at the very top so that I can recognize everybody that's here. Love Son, you're getting awful close to being a moderator as well. But anyhow, just do me a favor. Let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me. I would greatly appreciate that. And then we can get on going. Thank you, Scott. Scott's always number one in here as well. We're on several different YouTube channels together. I enjoy seeing the fact that you support some of the people that I support. Gil with Camp Patton Family Compound, Prepping with Sarge. I've seen some of you on Jason's channels. He has two of them, The Living Truth, I forget what they're called, but Jason has two channels, and I see a lot of you there as well. So we have a lot of things in common. I think I've even seen one or two of you on Canadian Prepper. Oh, speaking of Canadian Prepper, two fantastic, phenomenal, outstanding videos in the last week. I got a chance to chat with this guy after he was interviewed on Canadian Prepper's channel. Let me tell you, I got involved with nuclear warfare during the Cuban Missile Crisis, and my next door neighbor was building a fallout shelter in the backyard. He was the civil defense warden for the block, and he gave me everything he had to study on nuclear warfare. I have been a devotee as far as studying nuclear warfare ever since then. This is 1963, so 62 years I've been doing this. And this and Nuclear Survival Guide are probably, in my opinion, the two best books. This one I'm going to put up above the other one, only because of the amount of data that's in this one. Just look at the tabs. I mean, this puts Annie Jacobson's book to shame like you would not believe. I mean, Annie Jacobson's book, read it so you get the alternative view. She primarily follows the script of Carl Sagan and the T-TAPS group, assuming everything is going to be a surface burst, there's going to be fires, and it's going to be global cooling and what they call mutual assured destruction and all this kinds of stuff. This guy, Mark Rush, is a lot more pragmatic and a lot more realistic as far as my experience in the military, his experience in the military, what we know. That's a better book, far better book to read. So please read that. Of course, this is the one we're going to focus on. A couple great discussions in here this evening around mental preparedness for SHTF. And I think that's going to be critical. I think we've got to get the right mindset and very quickly here soon. A lot of weird stuff going on around the world. So, and here at home. So make sure you have your mind ready for the fact that SHTF could happen tomorrow. And, so just, I don't want you to become, however, overwhelmed or consumed in preparation for SHTF. Live a normal life, but get a mindset that says that you can pivot and become extremely aware of what's going on around you. You can keep your calm. Remember that, what was that? Who sang that? Or who wrote that poem? You'll be a man, my son, if you can keep your calm while others around you are losing theirs. I forget the guy's name, but anyhow, great poem. I read it. It's in my viewing list in the video list. So I've done a couple poems. I've done that one, Abu Ben Adam, and a couple other poems. They're just fantastic poems. But anyhow, let's see who else here. Scott Hummer, thank you, sir. You are always, at least 99% of the time, the first one here. Thank you for doing that. Patricia Butler, good evening. Welcome as well. Let me get my glasses. The next one up is Utah Mike. Utah Mike, I think, is trying to compete with Scott as far as being the first one here. Then we have Cats and Prepping. Gosh, I'm having a hard time seeing this evening. So I'll get my new glasses and out of the bottom part. Cats and Prepping, and we've got 11 in there right now. L-Dog 4594, good evening. I hope you're back. I saw that you took a short break there away from us, so I hope you're back. Okay, KP Haven, good evening. Good to see you as well, my friend. All right. So here we are. Great. Rudyard Kipling, thank you. Was it? No, wait a minute. I don't think it was Rudyard Kipling. Was it? It could be. Could very well be. Yeah, could be. Okay, if. Yeah, Rudyard Kipling. Golly, you got an A+ in literature in school, didn't you? That's fantastic. Thank you. I'm glad that people recognize that. That's a fantastic poem, by the way. I guess the author I'm thinking of wrote The Man in the Arena in comparison to If. So, yeah, okay. Let's get into this. Fantastic book. Please get a copy of this book, put it in your library, read it, tab it, make notes. I keep 5x8 cards in all my books of everything that's going on. Oh, speaking of 5x8 cards and notes and books, we are scheduled to do this as the fiction book the last Thursday of the month. However, the last Thursday of the month is Christmas Day. So I'm going to give you an option. We can either stay on schedule and review this book on the evening of December 25th at 8 p.m., just like normal, or we can move it to Saturday. So let's have a real quick vote here. Kaylin, good evening. Welcome. So a real quick vote. Would you rather do this next Thursday, a week from Thursday, Christmas evening, not the day before, but the day of Christmas at 8 o'clock in the evening, or would you rather do it Saturday? I see one vote for Saturday. Thank you, Utah Mike. Pete, thank you for being here. Triple G Farm, Saturday. Scott Hummer. Okay, now, good news. Once again, John Grammer has agreed to be with us whatever day we decide upon. So I'll let John know, and he will be here. The author of this book will be here to discuss it with us. So we'll do it Saturday. Let's see, so Thursday is the 28th, Friday, Saturday. So that'll be the 30th. No, 27th. Friday the 27th. Saturday the 27th. I'm sorry. Thursday's the 25th. Friday the 26th. Saturday the 27th. So Saturday the 27th, 8 o'clock, we will do this book, and we'll have John Grammer here with us. I really enjoy. I hope you're going to his videos. He and his wife are doing videos, and it's just a fantastic. They're putting out all kinds of good stuff. I've been learning an awful lot about processing deer and elk from him. So paragraph number 46, we'll get started. Saturday it is. Thank you all. How can I stay calm when chaos and danger are all around me? Get a mindset. Start thinking about it now. Start preparing your mind for the fact that SHTF will happen, period. So if you prepare yourself now for the inevitable, then when it happens, you are going to be a far better chance of reacting to it in a positive way, at least not in a negative way, than those around you. Some of the books that I recommend that I really enjoy that get you into the proper mindset. One is the Warrior Mindset, okay, and this is written by Michael J. Eskin, a doctor, PhD. Another one I like is Stop Overthinking, and this is kind of the opposite. This is preparing you for SHTF. This one is saying live a normal life, Don't overthink it. Don't get to the point to where it consumes you, to where it takes over your personality, your normal lifestyle, ruins your relationships with other people. Just make sure you're prepared for it. Another good one, and this one is by Patrick Van Horn and Jason Riley, and it's called Left of Bang. So the event we call bang. Okay, so anything on a timeline, if you look at a timeline on a piece of paper, anything to the left of bang is before bang happens. So what can you do to prepare yourself for bang? Then anything after bang is going to be right of bang. Okay, so that's another great book that I recommend that I strongly recommend that you read. So you can start getting yourself ready. You know what's going to happen. Get with people around you. Do exercises. Start doing some planning ahead of time. What meals am I going to eat? How will I handle first aid? How well am I trained for first aid? Start building a whole compendium of skills, knowledges, and abilities, as well as tools that you have that you know you can use properly. And the more you build your SKAT, skills, knowledge, abilities, and tools, the better off you're going to be when it happens, because you'll have a mindset already there that prepares you for what's going to happen. So, you're either going to panic, you're going to freeze, or you're going to react. And I prefer that you react. In a major disaster, is it best to stay home or to evacuate? Well, I forget his first name. I think it's Bustamante. He has a channel. He's an ex-CIA guy, long-haired, ties a band, and he has this kind of, looks almost like an afro, I think. But anyhow, he says that as CIA, they tell him never stay put, always move. Once again, I didn't tell you about those Canadian prepper things, but I wanted to. But once again, he's telling you what CIA does, not what we should do. My number one thing is to hunker down, stay where I am. Okay. I know the area. I have far more resources here than I would anywhere else. Okay. So I don't want to bug out unless I'm forced to. Now I do have a plan. If I need to bug out, I can. We've got my bug out bag and Helen's bug out bag out in the garage. They're both mounted on 2-wheel dollies because we can't carry that much that far. But we're going to have them on 2-wheel dollies so we can, use those. No problem. We've got that plan. We know where we're going to go. We've got 4 different directions. Don't just plan on one place. What happens if the crowd is X place or Y place? So we have a PACE plan. That's primary, alternate, contingency, and emergency. I've got places to go north, east, west, and south. Just depends. If it's nuclear and there's fallout, you may have your evacuation route may be covered with fallout. You got to have a contingency. Where are you going to go if that happens? It may be that in civil strife, that's an area that's having a lot of civil strife in comparison to where the other places are. You may not want to go there. Don't get caught up on only having one place to go to. Make sure you have it figured out so that you can have a variety of places you can go to. Here's another thing, and I mentioned this on a channel. So for those of you, I strongly recommend you go to long-term, preparing for the long term on Facebook. Heather and Craig, her husband, are the 2 owners of that channel. I responded to a guy today, and he said, "Here, this is where I'm going to go. This is my bug out place." And so my question to him was, how do you know it will still be your bug out place once you need to go there? Who is securing it for you? Because that's one of the unknowns. When you have a bug out place and you plan on going there, somebody else may plan on going there. They may occupy it before you get there. So make sure that you have that all set up. So Pete, we need to talk. You need to be my alternate for the northern escape route. And of course, you're eligible to come down here anytime whatsoever. How can I plan to evacuate from an urban area during a major disaster? Well, number one, there's this thing. I used to work downtown Austin, Okay, I was the HR director for the third largest homeless shelter in the U.S., down on 7th and Natchez, called the Austin Resource Center for the Homeless. If I left here at 7 o'clock, it took me an hour and 15 minutes to get there. If I left here at 7:15, it took me an hour and a half. If I left here at 6:45, it took me 35, 40 minutes. Okay. Now coming home, everybody in Austin gets off the clock. So coming home from Austin to Round Rock, it was 2 hours on I-35. So there's always these windows where it's a little bit more advantageous to either be slightly ahead of the rush hour or slightly behind the rush hour. Okay. You don't want to be caught up in the rush hour. So I'm going to tell you that if you are planning on bugging out, recognize the signs so that you can either bug out early or wait a couple days and be a straggler. Let other people kind of get that felt out for you. As a matter of fact, if you have somebody that you can keep in communications with by CB or some other firm of a little bit longer range, CB is a longer wavelength, radio wavelength. It's actually down in the HF band, right at the very high end of HF. It's at 29 megahertz. And it's amplitude modulated. All of the other stuff, FRS, GMRS, the ham 2 meter, 70 centimeter, which is the handy talkie like the UV5R, those are all VHF, UHF. The shorter, and once you get up higher, the shorter the wavelength, the less bend it has, okay? So it's going to be more line of sight. CB bends a little bit. You get just a little bit more range over the curvature of the Earth because that bending capability with that longer wave, shorter or lower frequency. So I would say CB is going to be something you might want to have. See if somebody, one of your friends who's going to leave early, keep in contact with them with CB or something like that. So, just make those kind of plans for your evacuation. Escape routes, he says, make sure you follow railroad tracks or abandoned right-of-ways. Railroad tracks are great, just don't go down the middle. Those cross beams would be crazy. I wouldn't even want to get on that gravel fill. I would be off to the side. Remember, 99% of the time they're going to have some sort of clearance on either side of the railroad track. That's where you want to travel, on either side. River and stream edges. So river and stream banks are going to be great as well. Plus the advantage here is it's going to be a ready source of water. Make sure you have a good filter system. Power line paths, the same thing. They have to do all kinds of vegetation clearance on that, so that makes it good. Alleys are preferred over streets. And industrial areas that are abandoned, okay? So make sure you have night vision gear. Make sure you have binoculars. Check things out before you get there. Personally, with night vision with night vision equipment, I have one set that I keep out. I have another set that I keep in my Faraday bag. I just got in a 15-liter Faraday bag. It was in my pantry hall Saturday, so that I can put my other. I'm trying to get as much stuff inside Faraday equipment as possible. So I'm going to have I have a monocular and a binocular. The monocular is currently in the other Faraday bag. I got this Faraday bag so I can put my binoculars, my night vision binoculars in that. It'll fit in there. So my plan is to travel by night, because I will have the advantage of having night vision equipment over people who don't. That's one of the things that the U.S. military does is when we do night ops, we have the best night vision equipment in the world, and that's a definite advantage for us to go out in the evening at the nighttime. If GPS is not working, can I use a map and compass to find my way out of danger? If you know where danger is, yes. So map and compass are a definite thing to have. Make sure you learn how to use one. Then the next one, number 50, is how do I use a compass? He gives you some good ideas on how to take lines of bearing and how to read angles and how to look at things, which becomes important because then in 51 and 52, he says, how do I orient a map to match my location? And how do I read a map when GPS is not available? Well, both of those, what you want to do is, if you take a look at your map, especially if you have a topographical map, so it says there's a hill over there, so I can shoot an angle, okay? So, true north is this way. So if I'm shooting this way, I'm going to be somewhere probably around 200 degrees, let's call it, to that mountain. Over here, there is a major intersection, an interstate intersection, let's call it. And so I can say, okay, I'm going to go over here. Well, now I know that that's going to be somewhere around 120 degrees, okay? So now I take those back azimuths from those 2 points. So remember, it has to add up to 360 for a full circle. So if it's 220 down here, then I need 140 to come back to make a full circle, 360 degrees. So I can go to that point and draw with a compass back to me a line that says this is that number, 140. And then likewise over here, if it's 120, then I need to make 360. So 120 from 360 is 240. So I'm going to do a back azimuth from that point of 240. Where those two lines intersect is where I am. Okay, so that's how you can use your map and compass to determine where you are. And that's a Utah Mike's going to get beamed up by Scotty. Let me see. Yeah, let me catch up with this. Oh yeah, Canadian Prepper did do a video about Bustamante today. He did two other videos I want to strongly recommend. The one he did with Mr. Rush is phenomenal. It's almost, gosh, is it worth the wait, worth the vision, the watch. A lot of good information there. I'm going to say half of it's almost putting to the Jacobson book. So, be aware of that as well. If you don't like that kind of stuff, then, I'm sorry. But, he does point out some glaring errors in Annie Jacobson's book. So that's a good one. The other one he did, and I ordered it just yesterday, was the Schlissman, what does he call it? Schlissman wrap. But anyhow, this Dr. Schlissman has developed a wrap that you can use as a tourniquet. And it's also, I found on Walmart. So walmart.com, look for Schlissman wrap plus SAM splint. Because in his video, his discussion with Mr. Schlissman, Canadian Prepper shows how to use the Schlissman wrap to put on a SAM splint so you can splint a broken bone. There was another guy, I don't know. No, I'm sorry. I had to go to Schlissman's video to see that. The reason I got the Schlissman wrap was because he interviewed somebody from Jace Medical. And Jace Medical has a new first aid kit out. I checked, and my discount coupon code down below in the comments has expired. So I sent an email to Jace Medical to see if I can get a discount code for both the Jace Medical pharmaceuticals as well as for the discount code for the first aid kit. Best, well thought out first aid kit I have seen. Okay. And I really like it. He mentions a lot of the same things that I talk about. You don't want to suture or staple out in the field. That's you want to use Steri-strips and super glue. And so all that stuff is in. And he walks you through it. And Canadian Prepper was really good about that. And but then I looked up the Schlissman wrap and I ordered two. So that's going to go in my first aid kit as soon as it gets here. How do I find my location on the map? I walked you through that, doing a back azimuth. What are the three kinds of people who will emerge in a mass disaster conditions? Victims. Don't want to be a victim, okay? Make sure that you comply with your local laws, but make sure you have some sort of self-protection, okay? Make sure you are not a victim. And then the other one is a survivor, which is what we want to be, right? So that's a person, I equate it to the victims are the sheep And then the survivor is the sheepdog. Okay. Then the third type of person who's going to be out there is the wolf, the predator. So, as a matter of fact, one of the guys in my group and I were talking, and we have a friend, and the friend is actually an ex-Navy SEAL. And we were talking. I said, I would say that we would probably want to have him here in our group if SHTF happened. But he is such a dominant A-type personality that I'm afraid if I invite him in, our group becomes his group, if you know what I mean. Okay. And so I'm just afraid of his personality, that he's I'm in charge kind of guy. Okay. And so the guy I was talking to, who's kind of like my number 2 guy in our group, said, you don't want him. He told me that if anything happens, he and I had this conversation a couple of years ago. He says, if anything happens, I've got an AR-15. I'll take what I need. He says, so we don't want him. He's a lone wolf. We just have to be aware of him and prepare for that. So, even as you're building your group, take a look at the people that you were inviting. Hello, Higgy Homestead. Welcome. Good to see you. Make sure that you are getting the right people in your group, okay? You don't want to have the wrong personalities that are going to divide the group or cause any kind of consternation or any kind of, look, we're going to be living together for a while, okay? We're all going to be in confined spaces for a while together. So you want people that you think you can get along with, that you aren't going to argue with, that aren't going to be contentious. It's going to be tough enough. Don't put that impediment into the group beforehand. Do as much as you can to have people who work together. I had to leave a group. I was an impediment to the group. The leader was just a terrible leader. And so finally I said, look, you don't need to be the leader anymore. I'll take over. And of course I got kicked out afterwards for doing that. But and I don't blame him, but gosh, you don't do some of the stuff he did publicly. It's just terrible. But I guess every once in a while I get a reputation of being a rectal orifice, and every once in a while I deserve it. But I try to work with people as much as possible, and we want to work together as much as possible. So just don't let me down. If you let me down, that's going to be a trigger that's going to cause a blast. What are some items that should not be left out of a survival pack? So glasses. I've got 1, 2, 3. Over here. These are 1.5s, 4. I got 5 pair of glasses right here. So make sure you have plenty of glasses. A handbook, survival handbook. The guy. Oh no, this is another channel that I watch. He's an emergency room and ER doctor, ER physician, and he said that in his first aid kit that he makes, and I just took notes. What does he have in his first aid kit that I need to look into getting into mine? And he says he has a first aid manual in his kit. He says, why does an ER doctor have a first aid manual in his kit? Well, if it's a mass casualty thing and he needs somebody to watch somebody else, he can give them the equipment and the book and say, here, this is what you're going to do for that person. And then they have the instructions right there so that they can focus on that and take care of it. Makes sense. This is one I think most people forget, and that's a dental kit or a denture repair kit, either one. Make sure you have a good sewing kit or patch kit. I include shoelaces in there. Because bootlaces, shoelaces, a zipper repair kit, safety pins. Get all kinds of safety pins. If your zipper breaks, then you can use safety pins to keep it closed. A fishing kit. I disagree with a fishing kit unless you're going to get a yo-yo. And the reason I disagree with a fishing kit is because if you're not using a seine net or a yo-yo, a seine net, you're going to throw it in, pull it in, and then you get whatever's inside that net. But a fishing kit standing there with a bobber, a hook, a worm, and a pole, you're not going to have time to stand there and do that. you're going to be on the move. You're going to be, you need to do other things instead of sitting there watching a bobber. Okay. A yo-yo is a device that's got a tripwire, basically, so that it's spring-loaded. You pull it down. You mount it in a tree. You pull it down. The hook is baited. Put it in the water. When something hits it, then that spring is activated, and it acts just like a reel on a rod, and it pulls that fish up out of the water. Way to go. Now, the other thing I would say is if you're going to be stagnant in one location for a while and you're going to fish, use a trot line. So a trot line, you're going to get a fishing line, probably usually pretty heavy line. I'm going to say maybe 20-pound line. You're going to run it across the channel from one tree to another. You're going to have feeder lines off of that trot line with hooks at the end of the feeder lines. And so you can get like 5 lines into the water across a small stream or a small river with hooks on them from that trot line. Now, some people also do, I've seen it a lot in Mississippi, along the Mississippi River. I've seen it in bios. I've seen it in Louisiana a lot, but they have what they call jug lines. So the same thing, you're instead of tying it up high and having the lines come down for the trot line, what they do is they tie milk jugs to that line that goes across the river or bank, and then that jug becomes the bobber, and you've got your hook tied to your line right there by the jug, and it goes down into the water. So now your jugs are actually right at the surface of the water, and they can bounce up and down and bring your fish up. So that's some of the ways that I would do it. So Utah Mike says you join my group, you follow my rules. I join your group, I follow your. That's the way it should be. Absolutely, Utah Mike, you're spot on. Skinny Medic has medical gear. Outfitters include guides. He includes guides. Yep. Okay. Thank you. I did not know that. I have watched Skinny Medic a couple times. He does some really good stuff. I like him. I found my original yo-yo this past weekend. 50 years old. Wow. Still works. Yay. So yeah, I'm a big fan of yo-yos. I've probably got about 8 of them. Then let me see what else we have here. If you could hit the thumbs up. Oh, thank you. Yes, yeah, do hit the thumbs up button. I would greatly appreciate that. My late dad used trot lines when we were kids. Put it out at night, and the next day we had fish. Yes, absolutely. Way to go. Okay, many self-hooking devices for ice fishing. It got down to 28 degrees here last night, and then it got up to 80 degrees today. So we're going to be at 78, 80 degrees for the rest of this week. So that's the way it is here in Texas. If you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes. It'll be the opposite. Next one, an AM, FM wideband radio. So we're talking about, I don't have any here. They're all in my radio room. But we're talking about basically the small, think of it as like the old, what did we call those when we were kids that we listened to commercial broadcast radio on? Like a Walkman type of a thing. I forget what they're called, but they had the little 9-volt battery, and you could do AM, FM. Get one of those. They come with, some of them have cranks, some of them have solar batteries. Somebody's going to help me here and tell me what it is. Kaylin, I'm going to count on you to tell me what that is. But transistor radio, there we go. Thank you. Who was that? That is Tom One Less. Tom One Less. Thank you. Great. Thank you. The transistor radio. So yeah, have one of those in your bug out bag so you can listen to the news or whatever. I also recommend some, I'll show you these two I keep over here. Of course, this is my TID radio. So this is my version of the Bow thing, UV5R. That's Wayne.
Other activity, I did qualify for the 12 days of QRZ, and of course that's open until the end of February. That's another reminder. And I picked picked up a few 40-meter FD8 QSLs this week from Montserrat and the Caribbean.
Okay, so that's Wayne. He is in our ham club, and every Monday night from 8 to 9, they have a new member net that's here, and this is for people who are brand new to the handheld, the technician level ham radio. So Wayne runs that on Monday evenings. He's helping me get my HF system improved, and so that's great. The one I would recommend you get is, as far as communications devices, FRS or GMRS. So this is my GMRS radio. It's probably nothing on there tonight, but this also has NOAA. So my NOAA button's right here. Oh no, this is dead. I need to charge it with that. Charge it. Okay, put it on charger tonight. Okay, but anyhow, so I keep my GMRS and my ham radios there. So those you may have some sort of communication device inside your backpack for your bug out kit. He recommends smoke bombs and a knife sharpener. I think knife sharpener is quite often left out. And so and there are some good small ones that you can get that are really good. If nothing else, if you have a ceramic mug, okay, this bottom rough part down here at the bottom of your coffee mug, if it doesn't, mine's got a little bit of coffee left in it, but if you could turn that upside down, you can use that to hone your knife. That's the same thing as basically any other kind of a honing stone. So you can use that. Another one, an expedient that you can use is if you roll your car window down a little bit, you have the same type of glass, rough edge on your glass window where it, right at the very edge, and you can hone your knife on that as well. What are unsafe mental states that affect how people handle high stress events? This goes back to the very first paragraph that we discussed this evening. Frustration, anger. Frustration is nothing more than an inability, and so is anger, to accomplish something you think is absolutely essential to accomplish. So if you set those realistic expectations now and know what you're capable of doing and provide yourself with the means to do it, then you limit the amount of frustration and anger you're going to have, okay? If you're distracted or hurried, if you've got it all figured out ahead of time, you shouldn't be distracted and you shouldn't be hurried. You should be able to methodically do it. This is what I need to do. Sometimes slow is fast, okay? Slow and methodical will get you ahead of the tortoise wins the race. Because you don't have to go back and redo things. You don't have to go, if you're going through your checklist as you're going along, you don't have to think afterwards, did I? And then go back and check, okay? Because that's where you waste time. Hunger, cold, heat, so let's just call it extreme temperatures, rain, anything like that. Any kind of an extreme weather condition is going to cause you to lose your mental capabilities. Hunger does jobs on people, as does blood sugar. Your personality can totally change if your blood sugar is too low or blood sugar is too high. So, if you are a type 1 or type 2 diabetic, make sure you keep that under control and, take appropriate action. The last one that we need to talk about are fatigue and pain. So fatigue is a lack of stamina, okay? And you need to develop your stamina now, okay? Get a regimen. What can you do? For me, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I go to what's called Silver Sneakers. It's 1 hour of exercises for seniors. We use weights, we use stretch bands, we use isometric balls. We do some walking, exercising, stretching. There's all kinds of things that we do, and that is to build up our endurance over time. as well as a little bit of weight conditioning. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays is strictly on endurance. Okay. And don't do as much strength exercises on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays as I do on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But that's going to be what keeps you, it gives you the physical ability to match whatever the conditions might be. The more physically fit you are, the more mentally fit you will be. The two are directly related. You know, I can show you people that in a military unit, there is a direct correlation between the physical fitness, Army Physical Fitness Test, APFT, score, and their mental ability. Mental ability to deal with stress and cope with stress. So the higher the physical ability, the higher the mental coping ability. That's just the way it is. So that's one thing you have control over now is your ability to get yourself in physical shape. Okay. Yes. Look, I walk with a cane. My hip, the total hip replacement is not as good as my wife's. She has a total hip replacement too. Same surgeon, same hip. Man, she's just doing fantastic. I'm not. And he told her, he said, you know, don't expect him to have the same outcome as you do. And of course, I've got some disability from the Army for breaking my back in the Army. So, you know, and that today was a day where I spent most of my day in bed. As a matter of fact, I didn't go to St. Vincent de Paul meeting this evening because I didn't want to get up and walk around. I've been working in the pantry and you know, moving stuff out and rearranging stuff. And as a matter of fact, I threw out half a trash can full of stuff that I forgot to recycle, that I forgot to cycle and use before it really caked up or anything like that. So I've got half a trash can full of stuff. I had a can of banana nut bread, Augustin Farms, number 10 can of banana nut bread mixture. Just add water. And for some reason, I mean, this is a controlled environment. That room stays 70 degrees all the time, but it exploded. The can is just totally puffed up. And so I attribute that probably to yeast in the flour that has, you know, just kind of started to spurt up a little bit over time. It was 10 years old, but I was disappointed. I had to throw that out too. How can I survive tornadoes and hurricanes? Well, hurricane, evacuate if you can find out about it. Make sure you have a NOAA radio, National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Agency, and they will let you know about hurricanes ahead of time. Tornadoes, hunker down. You know, we're right at the end of Tornado Alley. Here's a matter of fact, where my sister lives, that neighborhood was torn up by an F5 in Gerald tornado. Gosh, when was that? 1997, I want to say. That was one of the bigger tornadoes here in Texas. We had a little bit of advance warning. We probably had about 5 to 10 minutes advance warning it was coming. And after it formed, and we've got all kinds of tornado sirens and everything else here. So once you hear those, make sure you take appropriate actions. That's going to be your best thing. Stay aware of weather. Plan for it. Now, in an SHTF situation, you may not have NOAA. But, you know, if you see the weather conditions where it looks like the sky is starting to darken or anything like that, just stay inside. Stay in your safe place. If you're along the coast, you know, then the minute you see the winds picking up off the coast, evacuate. That's all there's to it. Survivalists and survival groups, are they parts of a militia? They can be. When I find out that a survival group or a preparedness group is more militia than it is preparedness, I just graciously walk away. I don't want to be a part of it. Now, I'm going to contradict myself here in just a way, in your opinion, but I'm not really. So I think it's essential that we train for preparedness, that we train for self-defense. Okay. I don't believe in actively training for offense right now. Now, it may become necessary that the best defense is a good offense. You could make that argument all day long, and I would say you're right that is true. But any group that focuses on offensive training, on militia style training, I don't want to have a thing to do with. Okay, that's not my bag. That's. I think a lot of people would agree. They don't want to be part of a marauder group because that's why you kind of get the sense that they are. But there's also most of those militias are kind of counter government, anti-government, and you don't want to necessarily be associated with those kind of groups. So let me see. So Utah Mike says, whoops, let's get back up here. Lack of sleep is why I allow many to help. Absolutely, Utah Mike. And that's, so one of the reasons that I know that I cannot be a lone survivor is because I've got to sleep sometime. And when you're asleep is when people can take advantage of you. So, but that also comes into building up that trust now, because while you're sleeping, you want somebody who's watching over who you trust, or else they're going to take over, right? So you need somebody you can trust and they can trust you, because you got to sleep sometime. And you're absolutely right. Treadmill helps. Absolutely right, Higgy. Broke my ankle a year ago, and exercise has been a huge help in healing. Absolutely. I still struggle being able to go downstairs without problems. Work on it every day. Well, that's the only way to do it, Loveson. You are absolutely right. So physical therapy includes doing those daily exercises like that. And probably the one thing you're having problems with after a broken ankle is the flexor muscles, right? So your legs like this, and when you come down on the steps, you want to make sure your foot has that flex capability. So working on those flexor muscles becomes important. My problem is I have to wear high arch shoes because I get, what's that called? Shin splints if I don't have high arches. Let me see. Baking powder does not keep. Those mixes have baking. Oh, thank you, Utah Mike. Okay. So, and that probably was about a 10-year shelf life on that. So we'll never know. Yes, Higgy, absolutely. Find out the different kinds of groups, what they're focused on. I would not mind being in a homesteading group. As a matter of fact, my number 2 guy, the guy that I told you about, he's the one who recommended it. From now on, we do all of our planning with our cell phones and Faraday bags. He's the one who told me about the other guy being an extreme type A wolf. But anyhow, he has a small farm out west of here, and that's one of our bug out locations. But has chickens and rabbits and all that kinds of stuff, and that would be my preferred thing. Would be a homestay group. That's my weakness. I have a black thumb. I do not have a green thumb. I like to look out the window at the sky, trying to learn how to read the cloud movements. Good idea, Kaylin. Absolutely. And you're in tornado area up there where you are as well. Here they use the city sirens to round up the volunteer firefighters, so ignoring them is common. Oh, wow. Okay. I bought a hand crank siren so that, we're using the Channel 3 project here in our neighborhood. So people will have FRS radios and Channel 3, they can call into me. And so I will be on all the time because I have the capability to recharge my radio. So I can keep it on all the time. I told them only turn yours on every 3 hours for 3 minutes and to check in and then get any news over that. Maybe we might stay a little bit longer than 3 minutes. But if it's an emergency, somebody calls me with an emergency and I want everybody to turn the radios on, I'm going to crank up on that siren out in the garage. So, yeah. So we have sirens here. As a matter of fact, our tornado siren is only 2 blocks away from me. So we definitely hear it. When Helen broke her hip, it was in the middle of the night. I was asleep in bed. She came in here into the kitchen and she tripped over a dog bowl and fell and broke her hip. She hit the linoleum so hard that it woke me up. I came running in to see what was on, called 911. I was still on the phone with the dispatcher for 911. And in the distance, I heard the sirens go off, that they were pulling out of the fire station to come respond to us. So, I mean, we had very, very good response. So, and as a matter of fact, the sirens on top of the fire station. Number 59, how can I survive extreme winter conditions at home? Another one that I really, really like. He's a Cuban, left Cuba, and now he lives in Alaska. He's called Frontier Prepper. Has a lot of really good stuff. I strongly recommend that you watch him. He came out with one a little while ago that I totally disagree with. He said that it's very bad advice to recommend people to create a micro environment in their home. And he's very much against having something like a small pup tent put inside your home. The whole theory of a microenvironment inside your house is the old canopy bed back in the Middle Ages. So you had this big room and it was all stone walls all around you, and they didn't have glass windows. They had open windows so the wind would come in and everything else. You wanted to keep yourself warm. What they would do is they would first take a blanket or a mural or something like that and hang it over the open window for the castle so that you didn't have that wind howling in quite as much. Then they had these canopied beds. And the whole idea behind that was they were creating a microenvironment. So there was a top, there were four sides, okay, and then they were inside. So their exhalations and their body warmth retained the heat inside that microenvironment. And that's what you want to do. The same thing that happens when you build an igloo. You're going to use your own body heat as well as your exhalation, which is at 98.6, to warm up the air inside of that igloo, and that's what keeps you warm at night. When I was in the Army and we were out in the field, I tried to never get inside my sleeping bag in my uniform. I always got down to skivvies, even in Germany in the winter or Korea in the winter. I got down to my skivvies. I would put my uniform underneath my head so that I was using it as a pillow. But I would breathe into my sleeping bag first. I would exhale into it to try to warm it up with the exhalations of my breath before I got into it. The way they did that back in the Middle Ages was they had bed warmers. So what they had this big thing. It looked like a what can I call it? Popcorn popper. It looked like a popcorn popper on a long pole, and they would take charcoal, coals, embers, and put them inside of there. And then they would just take that and rub it over the bed to warm up the bed before you got into it. And so that's another thing you can do is, somehow or other use. The Native Americans, what they did was they dug a hole and they would put rocks at their campfire. And then when it was time to go to bed, they would take the rocks from the campfire, put them in that hole, cover it up with the dirt, and then they would use that as an ambient form of heat for they were sleeping on their pallet above it. So, there's all kinds of good ways you can do that. Some of the things that I strongly recommend, one of the things that I do is I take that rock idea and I have my barbecue pit out in the backyard. So I've got two, I think they're 3-gallon stainless steel buckets full of rocks, these larger pavement rocks, type rocks. I'll keep one on the charcoal pit warming up, and the other one I bring in and put here in the house on my oven door. So I'll open the oven door and I'll put those rocks on top. Now I have those hot rocks that are doing some residual heat inside the house. Another thing you can do is Vesta. Instafire Vesta has a fantastic little heating device. You can take a look in my shorts. I have the Instafire Vesta. And as a matter of fact, the guy I'm having breakfast with tomorrow morning, I talked him into one before Ice-Mageddon 3 or 4 years ago. And he had it he lives in a manufactured home. And he had it in his bedroom. And with 3 safe heats, he kept that manufactured home with no electricity or any other power or anything else at 65 degrees in that one room, his bedroom, with the Instafire Vesta. So I can tell you that does work. And that's something else you might want to consider having. I did have a stone concrete bowl with an alcohol burner up at the top that I got from Amazon, but that's been recalled. They say it's very unsafe. Do not use it. As a matter of fact, in order to get my refund, I had to write in indelible ink on it, do not use. So that had to be disposed of. But you can do something like that. You can get something like a small muffin tray and fill it up with tea light candles, and that can be a source of warmth for you. I have seen, I don't know, I haven't done any experiment. I've had some people think that it's crock. I've had other people tell me it works, and that was a pun, by the way. But you take these pots, crock pots, and you put a candle underneath so that the heat and the smoke goes up and fills up and warms up the first pot, and then it kind of comes out into the second, warms it up, and then it goes out. So supposedly by using the smoke and the heat from that flame, you can use one candle and produce a burner. I'm going to call it a burner, but it's not. It's a residual heat crock heater. But people say that works. Some say it does. Some say it doesn't. I don't know. Okay. You tell Mike, get rid of all the dog bowls and dishes in the middle of the night. Absolutely. And it was the same ambulance crew that responded to us when I broke my hip. The dog we were having our carpet replaced in our master bedroom, and we were having wood flooring put down. So the workers were coming in and out, and our Chihuahua got out, and I went out to chase it, got out on the wet grass, my leg slipped, and boom, I fell and broke my hip. And so it was the exact same ambulance crew. They came out and they said, we've been to this house before. And my wife reminded him about the dog bowl. He says, well, how did this happen? I said, chasing the dog. He says, you need to get rid of your dog. Man, you got too many broken hips because of your dogs. But that's just the way it is. So Kaylin says that the Vesta Instafire would work in her apartment, and her birthday is next month. So she has her Sunday night MRE reviews. Please watch her Sunday nights at, I know it's at a time now because we go to church when we do that. Sometimes we don't make it. Is it 7 o'clock Central that you start, Kaylin, on Sunday nights? But anyhow, message her and she'll give you her mailing address so that you can, or I'll put the link to my Amazon link down below for the Vesta Instafire. Order one, I'll make a couple pennies, which I give to the local food bank, and then you can ship it at Amazon's expense to Kaylin for her birthday. How's that? Okay. 7 p.m. Central for her MRE review. Okay. Mr. Buddy is another one. The Mr. Heater My Buddy system. And they use the 1 pound propane tanks. There are adapters where you can use the 5 pound or larger. I was watching one of the other great prepper channels, and he was saying that he has a hard time with his Mr. Heater Buddy system, and he recommends having 2. I have one. I've tested it, have not used it. But Icemageddon 2 convinced me to get one. So I probably will look at getting a second one simply because of what he said. What is that? I forget his channel's name. Oh, yeah. So you all know, within arm's reach, there's also my Geiger counter, and this is turned on, by the way, and my carbon monoxide detector. So yeah, carbon monoxide detector is absolutely essential. We keep that over there. My Jace case is over there with all my medicines in it. I really want to get that new Jace case, Jace first aid case. It looks phenomenal. My Bible's over there. Of course, you see Over here, I've got an angel, got St. Benedict, Mary, St. Francis of Assisi, the crucifix. I've got St. Michael over here, and I've got the Holy Family there. I've just got all kinds of stuff around me that's going to keep me protected in case something happens. Modern Refugee, that's it. Thank you, Kaylin. That's who it is. Modern Refugee is the one who said that he has not had good lucks with the Mr. Heater, My Buddy system, that he has two, so in case one fails. So, and he also said, if I think I understood him correctly, I think he also said that very seldom does he get to use one for 2 seasons. That only last 1 season. But do me a favor, look for Modern Refugee, okay, on YouTube, and look for his assessment of the Buddy, my Buddy, Mr. Heater heating system. And I can tell you, the Instafire, Vesta Instafire is a phenomenal system. It doesn't have the BTUs, the thermal units of heat, that the My Buddy does, but it is a consistent, it's also fan driven. It's got a fan on it in the front. So one of those, you put 3 canisters of safe heat inside of it. 2 of them are to basically just heat. And the third one powers, the heat from the third one powers the fan that distributes that warm air out into your room. So great system. Strongly recommend you take a look at it. Okay, last one. How can I survive an earthquake? Well, let me give you my experience. I was taking basic Indonesian in Monterey at the Defense Language Institute in 1971 when the Watsonville-Gurneyville earthquake, which was only about 25 miles away. The epicenter was Watsonville-Gurneyville. And I lived on the corner of Laurel and 7th in Pacific Grove. And so Pacific Grove is actually out further on the peninsula than is Monterey. Monterey's more at the end of the bay, whereas Pacific Grove goes out. And then Carmel, of course, is you got Pacific Grove on the south side of that peninsula and Carmel's on the north side of that peninsula. No, the other way around. Pacific Grove is north and Carmel south. But we were on the corner of 7th and Laurel. We were on the 3rd floor of this house. And so they converted the 3rd floor of this old naval captain's house into apartments. And so we had 4 apartments up there. 3 shared 1 bathroom. The other one had their own bathroom. And but we had, because it was apartments, they didn't let us go in through their house, through the inside stairs. There was an external stairwell that got to the house. That Watsonville-Gurneyville earthquake separated that stairwell from the house while we were in there. So thank God that they came down, they opened up and unlocked the doors so we could go down the middle stairwell out. But we were homeless for a while until they got everything fixed, repaired, the foundation, all structurally correct and everything else. Earthquakes. How do you survive one? Well, first, get low if you're outside. You don't want to have anything that can possibly fall on you. Take a look at where you are. And another thing is, if you're indoors, look for something like a door jamb, an interior door jamb. That's going to have far more structural stability. So if you're standing under that and things collapse, that's going to have a greater chance of surviving the pressure of things falling down on top of it than anything else. If you can get underneath, like if you could see, one of these days I'll have to show you this. This is a German Eckbachgruppe. So this is made out of German Fichte, which is basically the German oak, white oak in Germany. And so this is a very sturdy, the legs down for the structure are 4x4s. So this is a very, very solid structure. So I would say that in the event of an earthquake, I would get underneath of this table. It's going to be very sturdy and it'll support anything falling down on top of it. And I would not have any worries whatsoever. Look for the sturdiest thing you can. If nothing else, get inside your bathtub and cover yourself with a mattress, with soft things, pillows, blankets, whatever. Just make sure you get inside of it and protect yourself with soft stuff as much as you can. Okay, so that's it. We're done. Oops, an hour and 5 minutes. My gosh, I'm sorry, I ran over. Let me take a look at what's going on here. So Utah Mike says he has many Mr. Heaters. He uses them ice fishing. He's had no issues with them many years on the same one. And he has 2 still in the box. Thank you. So that's another piece of data for everybody to use. We've take that into consideration. So there is a positive comment on the Mr. Heater product, my buddy. But he says, however, propane produces moisture. Burning after a few days, you'll notice it. So that's going to increase the humidity inside your home. It's kind of like a swamp cooler. If you've lived in the desert Southwest, they put water through these hay pads and then draw that in, the dry air from the outside desert in, and that cool air then cools your home by about 20 degrees. However, anything that's within 5 feet of that outlet's going to be wet after a while. I have a feeling that's the same thing you told Mike is describing about the Mr. Heater's products. I'm not too far from the New Madrid fault, Kaylin says. If it pops off a big one, she'd feel it. Well, yeah, and the New Madrid fault, that is part of, that's also included in the North American plate. So they think that as the San Andreas plate, you've got the Pacific rim of fire, goes up along the Aleutian coast, then it comes down the San Andreas and other faults down along the North American plate. Then it heads east, right along the Arizona, Mexico, New Mexico, Mexico border. Then it heads a little bit southeast into Texas, comes up along just north of where I am right now, and then it heads northeast towards the Mississippi River, and that begins the New Madrid fault line that Kaylin's talking about. So that is all part of the overall North American plate. So yes, there's going to be a lot of tectonic activity on that, and you can expect to have something happening along there. Phylloxerus, have a good one. Take care. We're going to shut it down. So if anybody doesn't have anything else, we will be Saturday for Drifters, Saturday after Christmas, 8 p.m. Central for Drifters. Next week, we'll continue on with this same book. And so let me close it out with the book of Numbers, chapter 6, verses 24, 25, 26. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord let his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord look upon you kindly and grant you peace. So thank you all for being here. I greatly appreciate you. Such a fantastic group of people, and you always keep me straight. Thanks for your comments, and thank you for your support. And I'll put that Mr. Buddy, I'm sorry, oh gosh, well, I've talked about it several times. Oh, Instafire, the Vesta Instafire. I'll put that link down below. And remember, we're all in this together, so we can come out the other side together. Please be kind, polite, and respectful to each other. Find a good group. Find a group that you can trust. Find a group that they can trust you. And then we'll come out of this together. Take care, everybody. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.